Hi everyone, for tonight's Nightcap and review, I'm having a whiskey and diet, and I'll be reviewing Demons and Roses by Beka Westrup. This is a book I received as an ARC, but of course I'm going to give my honest opinion. These are the tropes, and these are the content warnings. I'm going to say off the bat, 4.5 stars. This was so good, and I really enjoyed it, and I had a hard time putting it down. So what's this book about? Well, this book is about Rose, who marries a rich prick of a man as a means of survival. And now she's just trying to survive this horrible marriage until she hits that magic number in her prenup where she can divorce his butt and then leave with a nice sum of money. That is until one day on the golf course, they get into an argument. As she walks away, the golf cart that is now unoccupied springs to life and runs over her husband, unaliving him. At first, she thinks he's dead because there's just no way with the state of his body that anyone could survive that. That is until he sits up. He springs back to life and he seems to have suffered no real injuries, which just mystifies her. She takes him to the hospital, of course, because there's no way that he's not hurt, but he gets a clean bill of health. They go home, and then as she's living with him and interacting with him, she starts to realize he's treating her differently. He's being kind to her. He's being nice to her. He's respecting her. He is acting like he wants to be around her and just wants to be around her all the time and doesn't want to be separated. He's actually making her food and taking care of her. And that's just something that is not something she is not used to, especially coming from him. Along with him now being nice to her, that's not the only change she's started to notice. There are executives within his own company that are now disappearing, and he could care less. All he wants to do is be around her, regardless of all his managers and board members disappearing. He could care less. So she's starting to realize this is not the man she married. So who is this? So what are my thoughts on this book? Again, I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I could not put it down. It was so good. I will say at first I was a little hesitant as it came to the female main character because she is a gold digger and I have preconceived notions. I'm like, am I even going to like her? Am I even going to want to read her story? But the premise of the book sounded straight up my alley and I was like, I'm going to give this a try. It sounds really good. And I am so glad I did because yes, she's a gold digger, but you realize as you read the story, it is a coping mechanism to the trauma she's gone through and she's just trying to survive. And she was raised to believe, she came from poverty, that the best way to survive and the easiest way to survive is when you have money. So having read her story, it's like, get your money, girl, however you can get it. I'm not going to judge you. You deserve everything you can get. And trust me, it's not like her man her husband was a good guy. Trust me, he was a bad guy in a multitude of ways, so she deserved to take him for every dime he has. Now, for the male main character, who was called Walter before the golf cart incident, but now only wants to be called Levi, well, he's that perfect blend of being attentive to Rose, wanting to take care of her, and just be around her all the time, while also being possessive, obsessive, and unhinged when it comes to Rose. He has no problem unaliving someone who talks to her the wrong way, looks at her the wrong way, or upsets her. He is definitely unhinged when it comes to her, and you love him for it. But he's very principled about who he unalives, and you understand why as the book goes on. I don't know if that makes him morally gray or morally black, but he's definitely charcoal. I would also say, for having read the book, I kind of wish this had been done in a dual POV with Levi's perspective. This is done from Rose's perspective throughout the whole book, but I feel like getting that internal monologue and just seeing things from his perspective would have just been the cherry on top. It's not a detriment to the book in any way. I just really wanted to hear the unhinged thoughts in his head because his actions were over the top and I loved it. Now, for the book itself, it is a dark and spicy book, so check your triggers and be prepared for a lot of spice, and the spice that's there is so good. Oh my god, it was spicy, spicy. I will say the author's writing style was really easy to get into. It was a page-turner, and it was just easy to understand and so well done. I think this is a first of a series. The book does say on the top, book 1 of the Eternal Bride series, so this is the first book I've read by this author, and I am definitely going to explore more of her works, but I really hope this is an ongoing series. With the way this ended, it doesn't leave on a cliffhanger, so that makes me wonder if it's going to be standalones with focusing on different couples. But I don't know for sure. That's just going off what I see on the cover and, of course, wishful thinking on my part. So fingers crossed there's more to this series because I definitely want to see what she does with it. I loved every moment of it. Now, this book will be available April 2nd. Make sure to give it a download, especially if you like dark, spicy, paranormal romances. You will not regret it. It's a wild ride, and I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.